Should this couple do Roth conversions? Roth conversions sound good. Everybody promotes them like they're just always the best thing to do, but are they always the best thing to do? I'm going to show you a case study of an actual family that we're meeting with in a few weeks. You're going to see a narrative that they're going to see and be faced with some of the questions that they're going to be faced with, and you can decide what you might do if you're in their situation. Now, personally, I don't think this family is going to go for doing Roth conversions based on what they're going to see, but it really depends on how they answer two key questions. And when you hear what those questions are, feel free to let me know in the comments if you would do Roth conversions or not. You see, there's a lot of questions that we ask about Roth, meaning should I do Roth conversions at all? If I do them, should I just be really aggressive and go to get them all done within a few years, or should I spread it out over time? And so it can be really difficult to suss that out, so to speak, and software can help us. So we're going to look at their story and hope to make it a little bit more clear. But before we do, my name is Nick Davis. I'm the founder of Brindle and Bay Wealth Management, and we're here to show you how to retire with calmness and clarity. Hit that subscribe button, like the video if you like it. Thank you for that. All right, let's get started. We're going to look at a case study. Of course, we changed their names. It's Timmy and Tammy. Okay, so Timmy is 65, Tammy is 64. We can kind of see just a real simple breakdown. And you can see that their income, because it's early in retirement, there's a little bit of Social Security coming in, and then there's a pension, and then there's a pretty big portfolio withdrawal coming from their portfolio. And if you click through a few years, so you'll see that it goes down when Social Security turns on. So when Social Security turns on for him, the portfolio withdrawal goes down, the pension's still about the same. On the right-hand side, we can see that they've got about, and actually today, they've got $1.284 million, and that is split between Roth IRAs already, some traditional IRAs, and an HSA. $60,000 in their bank account, and their house is worth $493,000, no debt on that. So that's Timmy and Tammy. And there's a lot of software that can do Roth conversion analysis, and I really like this one that we use. So the first thing you see is a narrative, and that narrative says that the software has already chosen and says, well, if you do Roth conversions to the 22% tax bracket, it thinks that's best. And then it's just going to compare it to a taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free strategy. Now, if you've ever asked the question, well, what if I were to just be really aggressive? We can actually look at that and we can say, well, if we're really aggressive, so in this family's case scenario, if they were to do Roth conversions to the 35% tax bracket, their average tax rate would be 6.7%, and they'd pay $258,000 in taxes over their lifetime. The software says, well, if we did 22%, so if we did those Roth conversions up to the 22%, we're going to actually pay a little bit less, about $30,000 less. And so $224, and our average tax rate is $598. Okay, so that kind of satisfies that itch there to know. And we can see that if we were to do strategy one, that the average tax rate would go down to be 4.3% on average as compared to 10.3%. They'd pay $342,000 less taxes. They'd have $342,000 more dollars in income, because if you pay less dollars to the government, you get to keep more dollars to spend. And then they would have a legacy of almost $600,000 greater. All right, so at surface level, this looks really great. But when we start looking at this, when this family looks at this, I think here's what's going to happen. So you see these blue boxes, these blue bars. That means we're going to pay $34,000 in taxes to do that conversion. And if we didn't do them, we'd only pay $8,600 in taxes. So you can kind of see the theme here. We're done paying our taxes in 2029 versus we're paying very low taxes for several years if we don't do those Roth conversions. Now you might say, well, in fact, I think they're going to say, well, what if we were to do Roth conversions to, say, 12%, which is going to be the 15% tax bracket pretty soon? Well, there's only a $6,000 difference between the total tax. So let's click on that for a second and save it. So now what we're doing is we're comparing that 12/15% Roth conversion. And we can see that now we're actually doing this it's not as aggressive, right? So $13,000 worth of taxes or $14,000 in taxes versus $6,500 in taxes, right? And then we're doing that much longer, but it's much more maybe palatable for some people, right? So it's up to them. Now, that means that they would be in the 15% tax bracket because they would be maximizing these conversions, optimizing them, and they'd be done paying off. If they did 22% tax bracket, they'd be done paying in 5 years. But if they do the 12/15% tax bracket, they're going to be doing Roth conversions pretty much throughout their entire retirement. And when do they break even? Well, in this example, it's 2046. And if we go back to the 22% tax bracket conversion, which I'm going to do, it is 2044. So it's just 2 years earlier. And the way that works is you can see all the taxes early on are getting paid pretty aggressively. And eventually at age 69 and 70, $247,000 in taxes have been paid, and then we never pay any more taxes. However, if we compare it to like the traditional strategy of not doing Roth conversions, we're just getting ready to start paying taxes, right? We've enjoyed 6 or 7 years of lower taxes, and now we're going to go ahead and be paying higher amounts of taxes, right? So that's where the fun really begins. So we go back to the overall big picture here. We look at this narrative. We say the narrative looks great. However, we're going to really have to start paying some taxes pretty aggressively to get the benefit of doing this. And we're really not breaking even until the end of life, because that is, you'll see here, the $247,000 in taxes paid doesn't really happen until age 84 and 85. So we're 85 years old and we're just now breaking even and starting to get ahead. So on the one hand, we got this narrative that looks really good. We're going to pay less taxes. We're going to have more income to spend. We're going to leave a bigger legacy. On the flip side of that is that we have to spend almost our entire lives creating that benefit. What are they going to do? I think it's going to really depend on how they feel about the big picture. That's a big question, right? How do I feel about the big picture? And it's really boiling down to two questions. And I think, how they answer these questions and how you answer these two questions is going to maybe play into your view of it as well. Question number one is, how important is legacy? Because if you leave a Roth to the next generation, well, they're going to be able to defer that out 10 more years of tax deferred growth. And that's probably a tremendous benefit, right? So if legacy is important to them, they may go for it. Question number two, how do you feel about the future of taxes? Because with our national debt and our current spending, most people believe that the writing's on the wall, taxes are going to have to go up. None of this software really reflects what happens if taxes end up going up, right? Now we have software that can kind of show that, not as well as this software, but the point is that means that the benefits are even better. So if you're the kind of person that just wants to get the government off your back, and I've done other videos about how Roth money doesn't cause your Social Security to be taxed, then that would be a reason to do these Roth conversions. So those are the two questions. How would you respond to those two questions? Are Roth conversions worth it? Is getting that government tax off your back early in life more important to you? Is legacy important to you? Let me know in the comments. I made another video about a family that saved $4,000 on their tax bill last year because of one thing that they did. And it was the year that they retired. It's a time-sensitive thing that they had to do by December 31st of this last year, but it's something that can be repeated for you in the future. So if you want to see what they did, take a look at that video right here. Hey there, it's Nick again. I wrote something that you might be interested in. If you want to know what my favorite retirement income strategy is for most people or many people, we refer to it as the Money Master Guardrails. If you're contemplating what your income strategy for retirement may look like, I invite you to download a copy of my white paper. Get the insights you need, download a copy today. The link is in the video description.